So what's up guys, Foxen here. How have you been? As you might know, YouTube's been giving me this heavy spanking lately, but now I'm back. So getting back on track with Attack on Titan, I just gotta keep moving and advancing forward. Anyway, today's juicy topic, the recent casualty for the Survey Corps, which really all started from Willy's declaration of war. So, now that Potato Girl Sasha is gone, how is this going to affect everyone, including the fan base? Let me just start by saying that her gone is going to have some lasting impacts on everyone. For starters, we have Eren, Mr. Jaeger. Of course, Eren is the one that's at least partly responsible for this whole mess. And by that I mean both the good and the bad parts for this overall successful mission. That is, even if Eren did go rogue. But I'm gonna touch on that on a different video. From this chapter, I was actually genuinely surprised by Eren's reaction to this. And as some of you pointed out, it seems like Eren is both crying and somewhat laughing in the end. It looks like some type of mixture. Which really reminds me of Eren's earlier laugh-crying moment at the end of Attack on Titan Season 2. I mean really, this just makes me want to see this animated much more. Hopefully by 2020. So here's hoping Eren has some deep reflection over this. Something tells me Eren's gonna realize that not only Sasha is gonna be the only casualty from this. Next up, I do have to bring up Connie. And man, I would really not want to be this guy. At this point, Connie's best buddy and perhaps potential lover is now gone. As you know, both of these have always been coupled by the fandom. But this is really only the cherry on top for all of these misfortunes that have been going on in Connie's life. Recall back from season 2, his whole family and village are now gone. His mother got turned into a Titan, which potentially is still alive, and really that would only serve as a constant reminder. And who was responsible for all of this? Yeah, here's the kicker. The Survey Corps is now working with the guy that did this, Zeke. And perhaps just to pour some salt on that injury, you really can't do anything about it. Next up, the Stallion. I see this guy being extremely broken up about this. I think similar to Eren, he might take a huge hit from this, since it did happen on his watch. I mean, if you really think about it, these guys got way too comfortable in this final stretch. At the time, the Stallion was a commander nearby. And let's not forget that Jean also screwed up by not taking out Peak. This is why, going forward, I see the Stallion doing a whole lot of self-reflection on this mission. Next up, Mikasa. Here, you really only saw a shot of her going over, but more importantly, crying over Sasha's death. For anyone that says that Mikasa really only thinks about Eren as much as Sasha thought about meat, here you go. And these two really have had an interesting relationship together since their time as scout trainees. I'm just wondering, what was Sasha and Mikasa's current relationship post time skip? Hopefully both of these got closer together, and I'm really hoping they go over that. Next up, Armin. In the one shot of Armin, it has him looking like a complete mess. Did Armin and Sasha potentially have something closer together? I know both of these guys were shipped together by the fandom, some of the fandom anyway. And of course in the Attack on Titan Junior High anime. But anyway, going forward, how will this affect the great strategist now? Will Armin accept Sasha's death and blame Eren for it? Which will really only cause both of these buddies to split even further. Or will Armin potentially accept the responsibility of Sasha and everyone else's death along with Eren? In other words, accepting the fact that both of their hands are going to be drenched with blood, and tons of it. I mean, Armin is the almighty god of destruction, the colossal titan. Meanwhile, you have the beast titan now on your side, aka Zeke Jaeger. So is everything going on so far all according to plan? Just how much of this blame is he going to take as opposed to Eren? Are they both going to be blamed equally? As for his own thoughts on this whole situation, like he said in the chapter, they're all just miscalculations. Of course, Zeke doesn't even give a damn about Potato Girl. He likely never even knew her name. And as for the Potato Girl Sasha herself, if you recall, she was originally supposed to die way back in season 2, around episode 3? Supposedly, the editor cried himself into a complete mess, which ultimately had Isayama sparing Sasha, for a little bit anyway. Years later, post time skip, I do wonder what that conversation was like now. What happened? Does Isayama now have himself a new editor? One possibility I do see here is that Isayama thought that some important death was needed. Unfortunately, perhaps Sasha was the only expendable one. Perhaps. Although let me mention this, all hope for Potato Girl fans isn't gone yet. The Potato Girl Sasha will appear again. Of course, she's still going to be with us with the Attack on Titan Season 3 anime, which is just 2 months away by the way. Super hyped for that. Sasha will also very likely appear a couple more times in the 4-year time skip flashbacks. You could definitely count on Connie and the Stallion thinking back to Sasha, and perhaps even Eren and Mikasa, or Armin. Oh, and did I almost forget about someone? Your WarHammer Titan buddy Reiner. Reiner is definitely in for some more suffering. If you recall, post-time skip, Reiner specifically recalled Sasha's potato scene. Let's be honest, even though he called her a devil, at that moment, that was an important, and probably still is an important memory for him. Reiner himself was always pretty close to the other guys like Sasha and Connie. I could picture this. Connie later on is going to be punching or kicking Reiner in his big ass head. That'll then be followed up by Reiner getting told about Sasha's death. So yes, Reiner. Unfortunately, you're going to continue suffering until your 13-year sentence is up. Enjoy. As for some fan reactions for this major death, I've seen a lot of interesting stuff coming from some of you. There seems to be a lot of pissed off fans, but for different reasons. All of this is ultimately centered on Sasha's death. For starters, some of you are claiming that this is your breaking point. Some of you are just going to stop reading and supporting the series and anime now. Let's see how many of you actually stick to that promise. Especially with Attack on Titan Season 3 just 2 months away now. Next up, this is an interesting one. I've seen some of you mention how you felt that Sasha's death was played out to be too much of a joke in her very last moment. Specifically, people are talking about the meat comment. Why did Isayama do this? Why have her say meat? I guess it could have been worse though if she didn't say potato. For this, let me just mention this. Seeing Sasha's last moment and her words, especially in the original, just made this moment hurt that much more. The way I saw it was that Sasha's final thoughts were really just regarding on some happy moment for her. I mean, Sasha was losing blood quickly, so she didn't really have time to think about something. Potentially, her final thought didn't even get finished. But anyway, here's also something else that I've seen that's pretty interesting from some of you. I've seen a good chunk of you hoping that Isayama changes this for the Attack on Titan anime. About this, unfortunately, I got some bad news for you. Unless the Mr. Attack on Titan editor does some serious favors for Isayama, and more begging on top of that, it would take a real miracle for something different to happen in the anime. I mean, just thinking logically about it, who would replace Sasha in that moment? Would it be Connie, Floch? And actually, I wouldn't mind Floch getting shot in the ass instead. Please make that happen. But seriously, for this, don't hold your breath on it. And then I've also seen this reaction from some of you. A good chunk of people are wishing that Sasha instead got killed off in season 2. Some of you are claiming that at least that way she would have had more importance instead of getting this quick death. So about this, let me just touch on the quick aspect about it. The way I see it, it really just goes to show how in war, people could really just die at any moment. Unfortunately, not everyone is going to get that glorified last moment scene. If it helps at all, I'm pretty sure they're going to make this extremely sad and noteworthy in the anime. I could totally see the anime episode ending on this whole thing. Now, going forward, this type of reaction to Sasha's death really makes me more interesting, but also concerned at the same time. What I mean is what's going to happen when more popular characters start dying off. Let me remind you that this is Attack on Titan, which really means I see a good chunk of deaths coming in the final Attack on Titan arc. As for the direct cause of all of this, Gabi. For this, let me just say good job Isayama. If you wanted everyone to truly hate one character, you 100% succeeded. At least from what I've seen from you. It seems like 90% of you guys want Gabi to die. Some of you want her to get kicked off their escape ride. And at least a good chunk of you want her to suffer in that process. With that in mind, let me try asking you this. Do you think there's any chance at all for some possible redemption for Gabi? And I'm not really talking right now about Gabi story-wise. What I mean is, could Isayama possibly do something with Gabi to get the fans to like her? I think that is not only definitely hard, but mission impossible. And who knows if Isayama even wants that, or whether Gabi will survive long enough to get anything special like that. On that note, let me go ahead and hear from you now. Question of the day. What do you want to see happen to Gabi going forward? Can she be redeemed? And do you also think some of these fan reactions are justified? Where do you stand on this? Should someone else have died instead of Sasha? If so, who would you have picked and why? Are you one of the ones that think Sasha should have died back in season 2? And from all the cast, who do you think is going to be the most affected by losing Sasha? Anyway, definitely give us a colossal thumbs up and subscribe. Right now I have a lot of catching up to do these next couple of days, and perhaps next few weeks. Unfortunately, the timing is pretty bad. But really, is it ever convenient getting your account frozen? So a ton more Attack on Titan and anime videos coming up. Definitely click that bell icon so you get notified as soon as possible, and I'll see you guys later.